Hello everyone. So before we start writing the web, it is very important to understand that how it works, how the web generally works, right? So have you ever thought that what happens when you type in the address, suppose google.com or facebook.com in your browser, be it in mobile phone or laptop, and it goes to a point and brings some content in your mobile phone and laptop. So there are various things that come around and play their role to bring that content to your mobile phone. There are some protocols that are rules, there are some pathways that your traffic actually follows to bring that content. There are various entities that comes in that are clients and servers. So we'll be looking to that in this video. So let's get started. So the first thing is clients and servers, right? These are the basic yet important entities in the web. So whenever you type in something in your browser, you act as a client and that request goes to a server and brings in some content in the form of response. Whether you type in google.com, that goes to a server to bring you a HTML page that your browser displays to you. So there may be multiple clients requesting to multiple servers. So this is a end-to-end relationship. So, so what is a server? Server is generally a computer running at some place that is hosted or taken in rent by the developers of the web. And the client are the people or PC that request that some content from the server. So I hope this client and server thing is clear and let's move forward. So moving forward, we have this toolbox of web and there are various entities in that. So we have first one is internet connection. Before moving further, let's imagine that the web is a road, this road, right? And one end of the road is your client, which is your house, suppose, and another end of the road is server, which is a shop you are going to buy something, right? So in addition to client and server that we previously talked about, there are various other things comes in that are internet connection, TCP and other component file as well. So let's first talk about internet. Internet, we all know, right? Allows you to send and receive data from the web. You are using internet to serve YouTube. You are even using internet to see this content on the web, right? TCP and IP. This might be the jargon or new term to you, but generally the people in computer science generally come across this term in the subject called networks. It is not super important to understand TCP/IP in depth for writing HTML code. We'll be just knowing the term and learning about what is it actually, right? So TCP stand for transmission control protocol and IP stand for protocol. You generally heard of this term IP, right? Internet protocol are the communication protocol that defines how the data should travel, right? So you are the data, web is the road, and there are client and server at the end of this road, right? Like we talked about house at one end and shop at other end. So you are going to buy something from the shop that is generally server. So you will be going through some mode of transport, right? So this is like transport mechanism that let you place an order, go to a shop or buy your good. In our example, this is like car or bike, or you can also walk, right? So let's consider this TCP as your car or bike, that how you are going to the shop, how you are traveling to the shop. This is defined by TCP and IP protocols. Next thing is DNS. DNS generally stand for domain name servers. Domain name servers are like address book of website. When you type in a web address in your browser, the browser looks to the DNS where to go actually. So whenever you use Google Maps or Bing Maps to search a shop, you are generally using DNS. Suppose for our example, you are going to your shop, you are searching the address of the shop. This is what DNS does. When you type in the address in your browser, the browser connect to the DNS and gives you address where you want to go. Next thing is HTTP. HTTP is known as Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Once you have TCP/IP connected, right, we talked about the mode of transformation. This is yet another protocol that defines the language for clients and server to speak. Generally, you go to the shop and speak to the shopkeeper in certain language, be it English or any other language. So that is defined by HTTP, how you are gonna talk, and what is the language you are using to talk to the shopkeeper. Generally, client and server, how they talk is defined by HTTP. Next are component file. Component files are two type of files that are code files that we'll be writing, that is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other higher tech have come right now. And other are asset file. So once you write HTML, you generally send something like text, music, images, video, Word document, PDF. There are lot of documents, right? So you generally send to the client. So that also comes inside component file. So there are two types of file, code files and asset. Code files we write and asset file generally we send to the client. So what exactly happens? So let's go to our previous example where there is a client and there is a server. So we have now understanding of various terms like DNS, HTTP and IP. So let's get through this with the help of that. Whenever you type in some address out here, it goes to first DNS. Remember DNS we talked about. So this DNS gives you an address. We talked about this is the address book, you get an address. So using this address, you send a request to the server. How you send? Using various protocols, IP and TCP that we talked about. So this protocol used in this, how you are communicating with the server. So IP and TCP define that. You request to the server. Once server gets the HTTP request message, so it first verifies that it is an authentic request or not. If it is an authentic request, it finds, so it sends the data in the form of response. Data we talked about, it can be text, images, video, PDFs or anything. So this response is given to a client. So this client's browser actually takes this response and displays it. How this response comes in? It comes in the small chunks, and when the browser received it all, it display in the form of web page. So this is the overall process when you type in the browser and you get the response. It's a big study area to look at. Moving forward, we have our last topic for today, that is DNS we talked about. So this is a very important topic, so I have kept it a bit separate. So domain name server generally is the most important thing to look for when you type in the address. Let's suppose you're typing an address. So this is the basic example I have taken. So domain name system is the address book we talked about, right? So this is the particular address book, this domain name, and this is IP. Generally what happens, humans are very bad at remembering the numbers. So it is very hard to remember this number, but very easy to remember this domain name. Imagine you are visiting Google by typing address, suppose 223.239.51.26. It is very difficult, right? So it is very easy to remember rohanprasad.com. So your browser where you have typed in the address, you don't generally type this IP address. So you type in this address and it go to the DNS and it return back you the IP. So again you get the IP, then this IP is unique to a computer, so or a server. So you using this IP, you go to a server and this server gives you a response. This is a request and this is a response that we talked about previously. I hope everything is clear to you now. If it is not, you can comment down in the section. I'll definitely try to reply that. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. I upload tech videos and informational videos related to tech in this channel.